The soil tricks I'm about to show you are older than synthetic fertilizer, and quite honestly, they still run circles around almost any modern product you can buy off a shelf today. In this video, we are going back in time to dig up 5 forgotten World War II soil secrets that powered the legendary Victory Gardens. At a time when chemical fertilizers were strictly rationed for the war effort, home gardeners had to figure out how to turn poor, tired urban ground into massive food production engines using almost nothing but scraps, shovels, and patience. We aren't just talking about basic gardening tips here. We are going to cover how they built deep, drought-proof soil without buying a single bag of amendments, the hidden composting method they buried right under their tomato plants, the black gold they scavenged from sidewalks and forests, and the simple chemistry hack they used to make sure every single nutrient actually counted. By the end of this video, you'll have a blueprint for building soil that doesn't just feed your plants for a week, but sustains them for years. So let's get straight into it. The first lost secret is a complete shift in mindset regarding organic matter, often called the humus engine or heavy composting. During WWII, compost wasn't seen as a bonus or a polite way to reduce waste. It was the absolute engine of the garden because modern convenience wasn't an option. Today, we are used to buying fertility in a bottle, so when we see yellow leaves, we grab a jug of blue liquid and pour it on to get a fast result that fades just as quickly. The Victory gardeners didn't have that luxury, so extension bulletins from the 1940s urged gardeners to pile up absolutely everything organic they could find, including kitchen scraps, weeds pulled before they went to seed, grass clippings, old straw, and even shredded newspapers. This old-school method outperforms modern fertilizers because synthetic options are essentially salts that feed the plant directly while doing nothing for the soil, often burning out soil life and ruining structure over time. The heavy compost method changes the actual architecture of your ground by creating soil aggregates, which are tiny crumbs that allow air to get to the roots and water to drain through while still holding moisture like a sponge. To use this secret today, stop thinking about compost as a small pile in the corner and focus on volume, returning as much organic matter as possible to your beds to build that humus engine so you can finally stop relying on the fertilizer bottle. The second secret is physically harder, but the payoff is incredible, known as double digging or creating a root sanctuary. Many Victory gardens were carved out of vacant city lots, old lawns, or rocky ground where the soil was compacted and shallow, meaning if you just scattered seeds on top, the roots would hit a hardpan layer a few inches down and stop. Since they didn't have rototillers, they used a spade and a system where they would mark out a bed about 4 feet wide and dig a trench at one end, removing the topsoil about 1 shovel deep and setting it aside in a wheelbarrow. The secret is that you don't just fill that trench back in. You take a garden fork and loosen the subsoil another 10 to 12 inches deep without bringing it up, simply fracturing it and mixing in manure or rough organic matter deep down in the dark. You then dig the next trench, flipping that topsoil into the first trench you just loosened, and repeat this all the way down the bed until your soil is loose and aerated to a depth of 24 inches. This beats modern methods because most rototillers only churn the top 6 inches and create a hard glazed layer right below that, whereas double digging breaks that barrier to allow roots to travel deep for water during droughts. Secret number 3 is one of the smartest ways to feed heavy feeders like tomatoes and squash, known as trench composting or the underground buffet. Victory gardeners didn't always have time to manage a perfect hot compost pile that needed turning every week, so they let the earth do the work for them by digging a trench or a deep pit right where they planned to plant their crops a few weeks later. Into this trench went the raw materials like vegetable peels, apple cores, tea leaves, and garden trimmings, which they would chop up with a spade right in the hole before covering it with soil and walking away. This is brilliant because it captures 100% of the nutrients, whereas in a traditional compost pile, some nitrogen gases off into the air and some nutrients leach out into the ground below the pile where no plants can reach them. With trench composting, that leachate goes directly into the subsoil of your garden bed, so when you plant your crops on top of that trench a month later, the roots grow down into a decaying, nutrient-rich ribbon of organic matter. To do this today, try a simple rotation by digging a trench down the middle of a garden bed in the fall, filling it with kitchen scraps all winter, covering it up, and then planting your tomatoes right on top of that line in the spring. The fourth secret involves a resource that most modern homeowners sadly put in plastic bags and throw away, which is leaf mold or nature's sponge. In the 1940s, waste was not an option, so extension agents actively taught gardeners to see leaves, forest litter, and street-side piles as a valuable resource called leaf mold. Leaf mold is different from compost because while compost is bacterial and hot, leaf mold is fungal and cool, created when you pile up leaves and let them sit for a year or two to be broken down by fungi into a dark, crumbly, earthy material that smells like a forest floor. This material is widely considered black gold for water retention because it can hold up to 500% of its weight in water, helping your plants survive heat waves in a way modern fertilizers cannot. If you have sandy soil that dries out too fast, digging in leaf mold acts like a sponge that holds water near the roots, and if you have heavy clay soil that turns to concrete in the summer, leaf mold pushes the clay particles apart to make the soil fluffy and friable. To use this secret, stop throwing your leaves away and instead rake them into a wire cage or a pile in a shady corner to create a soil conditioner that you cannot buy in stores. The final secret is the most scientific, but it was crucial when resources were thin, which is pH tuning or unlocking the vault. You can have the best soil in the world loaded with compost and manure, but if the pH is wrong, your plants will starve due to a phenomenon called nutrient lockout. If your soil is too acidic, nutrients like phosphorus become chemically stuck, so the plants literally can't eat them. And if it's too alkaline, iron and manganese get locked away. Victory gardeners were taught to test their soil and adjust it using simple natural amendments like agricultural lime to raise pH or sulfur to lower it. This is better than the modern approach because today, if plants look yellow or stunted, the reaction is often to add more fertilizer. But if your pH is off, adding fertilizer is like pouring water into a bucket with a lid on it. By taking the time to adjust the pH into that sweet spot around 6.5 for most vegetables, Victory gardeners ensured that every bit of manure and compost they applied was fully available to the plants. To do this, get a simple soil test rather than guessing. And if you need to add lime, add it in the fall so it has time to work before spring planting. When you look back at how they did it, the secret wasn't a product, but a system where they built mountains of compost, dug deep to open up the earth, fed the soil directly with trenching, saved every leaf for water retention, and balanced the chemistry so nothing went to waste. These methods build a living soil that gets better every single year, rather than a garden that gets addicted to a chemical drip. Let's recap the system because the magic isn't in doing just one of these, but in how they stack together. You start by fueling the humus engine with massive amounts of compost, then you physically open the earth with double digging to create that deep root sanctuary. You keep the soil fed all season long with the underground buffet of trench composting, while using leaf mold as nature's sponge to lock in moisture during the dog days of summer. And finally, by tuning the pH, you ensure the vault is open so your plants can actually access that nutrition. It's not about buying a better bottle of fertilizer. It's about recreating the natural cycle right in your backyard. I want to know which of these 5 secrets you are going to try in your garden this season. Or maybe you're already doing one of them, so let me know in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into history helpful, please hit that like button, because it really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe to Grow Green and Live Clean for more organic gardening tips that help you grow healthier food. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.